this is going to sound crazy, guys, but insurance is my ATM machine. But that's what you can do. It just takes a handful of years of focus. ATM or insurance is my ATM machine. When I want another house, I go to the insurance bank account, I pull some money out, I buy a house. That's what I do, dude.
Go ahead and get this going. Mr. Isaiah Tademy, it's been a while, man. I haven't seen you in like almost a year. All right, last time I saw you was where? Vegas
Salt Lake,
Convention
dude.
20
Not that long
2020.
ago.
Utah.
Salt Lake.
Salt Lake, no.
Yeah, I saw you there not that long
Where?
ago.
What were you doing in Salt Lake? What were we doing in Salt Lake?
The
Bro, the
office.
lock-in, the lock-in.
Wow,
The
bro.
lock-in.
Oh, really? You came to the lock-in?
Damn.
Oh, yeah. I saw you in the elevator. In the
Man.
elevator. Yes. Holy hell, man. Of course. I'm gonna forget. Forgive me.
I am
Man,
forgot to take his dementia pills.
yeah. It's good to see you though, man. Seriously. I really
Likewise,
appreciate
man.
you.
Thanks for having me on. Dude,
Yeah,
the whole jacket. I should have brought the jacket, man. You see the video? I was tying up the tie.
Yeah.
Like, man,
All
that was crazy.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. It's good to see you, though. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I know you've been making some pretty great strides, in a different industry, but I think a lot of people have been joined us since, you've been around. So kind of want to give everyone a little bit of insight as to, what you've been up to. I'll give them a little bit of background as to who you are as well. So for those who don't know, Mr. Tademy is someone who has built one of the pioneers in building a brokerage, really building this brokerage, honestly, with Harold and Samir. And he's been able to lead over 250 agents nationwide. And personally himself, when he was producing, was doing about, you served over 1,200 clients yourself, if I'm not mistaken, if my, sort of research is not deceiving me. But then you've also, most importantly, man, you've been able to leverage your income in the insurance space into real estate and sort of positioning yourself long term, in regards to your wealth. So, if everyone could drop one in the chat for Mr. Tademy, that would be great. Isaiah, pleasure, man. Pleasure, seriously. I see you've been doing a lot of big things. I used to follow you on Instagram a lot, man. So every so often you got a new house or something under contract. So we'll talk about that. But is there anything that I missed in terms of your background?
No, man. You nailed it right on the head. Just an ordinary guy. I had big dreams, just like everyone here has. You know what I mean? And I started off working in corporate America, and I realized really quickly that I'm not a good employee. And I realized I wanted to be in a vehicle where I can get paid based on my work ethic, not necessarily my tenure. And I was a high performer at I grew up a student athlete, so I played basketball, always kind of been a competitive guy. And I realized when I was at corporate America, I was like, man, everyone here is getting paid more than me, even though I'm performing really, really well. I'm one of the best performers here, but just because I'm the new guy, I'm not getting paid what I feel like I should be paid, right? So that's kind of when I transitioned into the insurance space. I started at a captive company. And then I found Family First Life, the captive company I started off with, kind of like a bait and switch model, right? And then here I was like, wait, I can actually just spend a little bit of money on marketing and talk to people that want to talk to me about insurance. Like, how many times can I do that? And it's like, you realize, like, I could do this. I can buy as many leads as I want. And I can sit down with as many people as I want. Like, it's go time, because now it's 100% on me and my work ethic. And dude, I just got freaking obsessed and I got hooked. And insurance is literally, I eat, breathe, and sleep insurance. And yeah, man, fast forward, geez, 2026. So January 2026 is going to be 6 years, bro.
That's crazy.
6 years, man. So it's crazy because, 6 years, it seems like a long time, but when you really step back, it's like, dude, 6 years is nothing. It's really nothing. You know what I mean? So
how old were you when you got into this space?
6 years ago. I'm 32 now. So do the math. What is that? 20?
27 or 26.
26?
No,
26.
no. Yeah, 26, 26. Yeah.
26.
So
Yeah,
26
26 years old, man.
space.
So a lot of you guys here are younger than that, dude. So yeah, man, we'll get into it, but this is the best opportunity that exists, dude, and 100%.
No doubt,
So
man. Yeah, man, it's good to
get
see,
it.
like, what you've been able to do. Because I know, like, when we first joined, like, we came into the brokerage side from captive. Like, I think a lot of us came from brokerage captive even this year. But for those who were here last year, I actually had like early on last year, had the pleasure of like seeing you on Zoom, like talking to clients and things like that. It was like a big thing you used to do. But um, it's good to see that you've been able to obviously have the experience here and sort of move into a different industry. And we'll talk about that. But you want to talk a little bit about some of your key milestones too, like in the insurance space as a whole, because obviously you came in at 26, yeah. Sold your first policy at 26. But then you obviously, and I really want to pick your brain. I think a lot of people are really curious to understand like how you were able to identify and acquire the kind of talent that you were able to, pick up on. Like if I'm not mistaken, you basically you taught like Vivian Vile. Is that correct? I don't know if you hired her.
Yeah.
You hired
Yeah.
her, you hired Samir, you hired Harold. Like I want to talk a little bit about that, but let's talk about like your milestones. Like what do you feel like as though you achieved in the insurance space? Just to give a little bit of background as to what you've
Yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah. No, it's a good question.
Yeah.
You're a good interviewer, bro. I can tell.
No, nobody, man.
All right. So, dude, again, nothing really special, man. So when I first started FFL, everything was face to face, right? We're knocking on doors. We're getting no showed. You got to drive 45 minutes to the next appointment, get no showed. Like, dude, that puts some hair on our chest, right? But milestones. So I was never a Hall of Fame guy. Actually, I got really close one year. Uh, so I think my biggest year was like 365 or something, 365. So again, I think it's really, really important to lead from the front, right? Everyone kind of talks about that. Andrew Taylor and all those guys say that your team is going to do half of what you do. So if you want agents that are going to be profitable, you got to sell like, dude, 10 grand a month is really not that much money, dude. It's really not 10,000 AP, right? So, I mean, when you start factoring in your marketing costs, chargebacks, all that stuff, you got to be in like the 20K range to really start kind of getting ahead. So if I want agents that are going to be profitable, what do I got to do? You got to be in like the 30 and 40. So I was always striving for like that 40K number. I don't know if you guys remember, but back then we had like a 10 by 10 rule, where it's like you sell 10K a week and then you talk to 10 recruits a week. That was like always the goal. And we were always talking about it, 10 by 10, 10 by 10, 10 by 10. And it was preached throughout the company. So that was like, that was like always like the target that we had in mind. Right. But yeah, man, I think one thing that I did really, really well is I talked a lot about what I did on my social media. And, like Samir and, Anthony and a lot of these guys, like these aren't just like recruits that I just found. These are like my friends, my childhood friends that I grew up with. And those are the people that, that you influence first, talking on your social media. I don't know if a lot of you guys know Anthony, and we were roommates for a long time, Anthony Amaker. And he was, he got his engineering degree, he was working at, doing all the nerd stuff. Right. And had the degrees, had all that, everything. And he would watch me sell insurance from home, or not from home, but he would watch me book appointments and then go out in the field and sell insurance. And I was trying to get him I was trying to recruit him for a long time. And dude, he thought it was like a scam, He's like, dude, this isn't real. And then he started seeing it. We started getting some traction. And yeah, man, that's how we got him. And then his circle of friends. And then it just kind of started snowballing, right? But again, so let me backtrack. One thing I felt like that I did really, really well is I didn't just highlight all the good stuff on my social media. Drop a one in the chat if you guys remember our Takeover Tuesdays. Do you guys remember that? Takeover Tuesdays. Dude, Takeover Tuesdays was money, because what we did was we would talk about an individual agent would take their phone, right, and highlight their day, or just talk about their day. Here's what I do when I wake up. Here's what I ate. I went to the gym. You're kind of showing the lifestyle too, right? A lot of people are attracted to not just the money, but what are you doing with your time? Like what does your schedule look like?
Mm-hmm.
So we're able to get a lot of recruits off of that.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I loved is that not everybody had good days. In fact, a lot of people had bad days when it was their day to take over the Takeover Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had recruits that were still interested, even though we were highlighting the bad days, we were like, okay, I like this person because they know, they know the upside, but they also know the downside. They know the risks with the business. And if they're still down, I think it's a quality recruit.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, milestones, never hit Hall of Fame, but Hall of Fame agency. So Hall of Fame agency is $10 million a year. Shout out to HD. Put a 1 in the chat for HD. Just got the Hall of Fame agency. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Samir, obviously, as well. Shout out to Samir. Dude, that's a huge milestone. Like IMOs aren't doing that, dude. So that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So Hall of Fame agency, obviously, and yeah, man. Yeah. So I mean, we're doing
And you were
lots
producing
of business, dude.
Yeah, you were also producing for a long time. I want to kind of peel it back too, because you touched on like some pretty important points, right? You talked about leading from the front, yeah. You talked about highlighting, the sort of the nightmare of this business as well, right? Because that's also super important. But like, talk about so like you obviously produce, and just what HD preaches this too, like you have to be able to produce to be able to scale within this business. And a lot of people sort of like misconstrue that. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Something that I would take upon myself, something that I thought that was possible, but like you can't. But you were producing up until what, last year, yeah?
A couple years ago, bro.
A couple years ago. Okay. I'm not saying on Zoom last year, that's why I asked. But
Oh yeah.
you stopped. How much was the agency doing at the time when you stopped producing?
I got out of the field when we were doing $1 million a month. I stopped
There you
selling.
go. That's crazy.
A
That's
million
insane.
dollars a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because HD preaches like 300,000 is like the sweet spot, but $1 million a month, that's humble. That's humble for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how many agents you guys have at the time when you guys are doing that?
Dude, I want to say 120, 100 between 100 and 120 agents.
That's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah.
Massive stuff. Okay. Now, in terms of highlighting the nightmare too, that's something that's like super crucial. Like, what kind of advice would you give to like how would you structure your day-to-day routine when coming in this business and new agent? Like walk me through like your interview process. Because obviously you seem like if you were going that length, like you see a lot of these new age kids, right? They're posting the cars and the watches and all that stuff. You still don't do that, right? You never really did, you still don't. But like let's talk about like how did you sort of highlight your day in the space and how did you like convey the message of why this was sort of a unique opportunity to agents in the interview process? How did you go about doing that?
I think I'm a little confused with your question. I'm sorry. So you want to know basically my interview tactics or why I didn't talk about all the jewelry and the cars and stuff
No,
like
no,
that?
I'm curious to know like what exactly did you so you talked about obviously highlighting the downsides of this business too. So in the
Right.
interview process, like how did you talk about it as well, or did you just wait for people to like join the organization and then let them figure it out themselves? Like what kind of questions?
Yeah. 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 So, dude,
Can
I always tried to kind of sell people on not working here. It kind of sounds weird, right? But the last thing that I wanted to do, because let's be real, this is not like a job, right? This is you're running your own business, and when you're running a business, if things go wrong, you could end up in a worse position than you were when you first started.
Mhm.
And I've seen that happen over and over and over and over again because people come in. I would say the number one reason people fail is just money management,
Mhm.
right? So you have to make sure that you're managing your money correctly, especially the first year in the business. I always would tell people you kind of have to think the money's like the house's money. It's not your money. It's not your money to spend right away. So I would really try to scare people about what it's like to work here, what it could really look like. I mean, I'd highlight horror stories. You know, I've had agents that I have a guy I clearly remember in my name in my head. I'm not going to mention his name, but dude, he started off the second month. I think he ripped like 35 or 40 grand, and he sent me this selfie video. He's at the Buck Stadium. He's got his whole family there in the front row. I mean, he had to book, I don't know how many tickets, dude, a bunch of tickets. And he's like, Isaiah, you literally changed my life. I'm like, bro, you've been here for two months. Like, your life has not changed, dude. You got advanced money from an insurance carrier. You got advanced. You didn't get paid. You got advanced the money. And dude, I mean, fast forward a couple months later, he's not in the business anymore. Right. So I really kind of painted what's horror stories, what it could look like. But then I also paint what the upside could look like. And you have to be good at telling stories.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I would do is I would always tell my personal testimony,
Mm-hmm.
right? How I worked at corporate America, and even though I was the highest performer, like I just told you guys here, even though I was the highest performer, I wasn't paid like I was the highest performer. And I just wanted something where I could be paid based on my personal work ethic. And a lot of people can relate to that. That makes a lot of sense, right? So I would talk about those stories, and I would talk about how I'm not the best, right? I'm not the best. Like I'm just an average guy. Just happened to work really hard. Anybody could do that. Anyone can do that. If you talk about how special you are, it makes yourself not super relatable, right? So I was just a regular guy, which is the truth, and I just happened to outwork my peers. I'm a hard worker, and there's days where I made money. There's days where I lost money. There's days I wanted to quit, but I just put my shoes back on and I just keep going, dude. And I keep going. And I would tell people, you're going to have bad days. You might even have bad weeks, but you'll never have a bad month if you stick to your process and you keep going, because the numbers always work in your favor.
No
So if
doubt.
you help people understand that the average person, if they set their schedule the right way, and they stick to they stick to their schedule, and you put the numbers in and you make the numbers work in your favor, you can't lose, dude. You literally can't. And that helps people realize, like, dang. And you know what else is important too is getting people to conventions, to all the conferences and all the events, because when you see the people talk on stage, there's talented people out there, but then there's also some people you're like,
How the hell did you get up there?
that
Yeah.
guy's making like 50
Yeah.
grand a month.
Yeah.
Like, and then you talk to the guy after his speech.
Yeah.
That's one thing you guys also have to do, is like, when you see people, go talk to them. People love talking about themselves, right? Go talk to them, ask them questions. So when I go and I'd actually talk to these guys, I'm like, dude, he's literally just booking like 10 more appointments a week than I am. Like, he's literally doing nothing else, just that. Like, I can do that. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, like, dude, this is not it's not a hard business, dude. It's really not.
Not a,
Um,
yeah. I'm
yeah.
glad that you sort of touched on that too, man, because I think like the way the industry is trending now is taking like such a dramatic shift from like what it's been like in terms of the cultural trend, right? The cultural trend is like, bring in anybody, everybody, and sort of buy these sort of materialistic things, and this sort of message of um, materialism in a sense, right? Where it's just like you come in this business and it's not really about the most important thing, which is protecting families. It's more so about filling your own pockets. When in reality, that's absolutely not the further thing from the truth, right? But a lot of sort of the competitors out there, they're trying to wake up. A lot of people are trying to wake up to this. Like people are not being so silent. Even myself, like I talk a lot about it on social media, like what's really going on in the insurance place. Like how many people we interview that are trying to come to us from other agencies who have suffered from similar situations, similar to what you've talked about, like money management. And yeah, those things might not seem too major when you just say it, but like when you really talk to these people, man, and you hear the kind of like things like their leaders have told them, like, yeah, as soon as you come in the business, like you need to go in and go to the designer store and go and buy this and put it on your story. Like crazy stuff like that, man. And you got like these young kids who are coming in the space right now who are following this, and then and similar to what you said, few months in, they're shit out of luck, man. Pardon
Yeah.
my French, but they're shit out of luck, and now they're drowning in debt. Crazy situation, but it's the bare truth. But it's good to see now the industry is actually starting to take a little bit of a change, a shift in tide. People are trying to speak up against all the stuff that's going on, and waking up a lot. So it's good to hear that you were actually practicing that early on in your early on years in the insurance space as a whole. So talk a little bit about strategy. So in terms of what did you find like the most effective when it came to like in terms of strategies of producing at a high level? Because I mean, 300,000 is still a big deal, man. producing at a high level, and then most effective in terms of scaling an insurance team across 50 states. And you did it virtually, correct? You didn't do it with an office? Or did you do it with an office too?
I did have an office for a little
Did
bit,
you?
but yeah, just for a little
Okay.
bit.
In Salt Lake or where?
Tampa.
Tampa, Florida. Okay. Okay. Did it, were Harold and Samir on at that time?
Oh yeah, they were. It was just a small office though. I mean,
Okay.
they're really not a big deal. We had a couple local agents that would come by, sell a little bit. Then I realized really quickly that, dude, I'm losing money on this office. 'Cause
Mhm.
that's was kind of the time where everyone went remote, so it was hard to keep people in there. Plus, dude, it was like a really cheap office. Like the way that just the layout of the building, everyone could hear each other talking. So we had people that were coming to the office, would listen to the training, we would talk and train, and they would go back out into their car to make dials because you would like hear
That's
the whole
crazy.
person's conversation. That it was a mess. So we got rid of it. But yeah.
That's wild.
Um, yeah. I'm sorry, your question. I got distracted
The
again.
strategy, man. So strategy in terms of like on the production side, like what have you found to be the most effective in terms of scaling an insurance team and then across 50 states, and then also in terms of like scaling your own book of business? Like what kind of
Yeah.
strategy do you feel like find to be,
I think what you have to I think what you have to really think about is what do you want to do with this opportunity,
Hmm.
right? I tell people a lot. Life insurance sales is the best part-time job. It's the best. You know what the average part-time job is, or what the average monthly income on a part-time job is? I think it's like $200 or $300 a month.
Hmm.
If you work part-time selling insurance, how many people think you make more money than doing that? I think a lot of people. Okay, so this is the best part-time job in the world. If you want this to be a full-time job, this is the best full-time job in the world. If you're just looking for something to work full-time, pay your bills, live a happy life, there's nothing better than this. Nothing. And also, scale a company, I don't think there's a better opportunity than the life insurance sales because of the speed. You could basically forward your financial clock, is what I call it. Okay. Like, humbly speaking, in 6 years, what I was able to do with insurance income in 6 years takes people a lifetime to do, right? Scaling like their own business. So there's no opportunity like this. So I think what you need to do is just really figure out what you want to do, right? Are you okay? Do you have another job that you like? Maybe you have your benefits and you just kind of like this for some extra side hustle income. You're in the right place. If you're just looking again for something that's like a full-time job, you want to pay your bills and live a happy life, there's literally nothing better than this. And again, now if you want to do something really big and really, really cool, there's nothing better than this, dude. There's not. So yeah, man, I knew from the very beginning, well, not from the very beginning. When I first started, I just wanted to make money. Young guy, I just got a mortgage. I'm like, shit, I gotta, because as soon as I got my corporate job, I bought a house.
That's
And
crazy.
bought a house, yeah. So then I was
Before the
like,
check even hit.
no, I got a couple checks. Yeah.
Okay, God
Yeah,
forbid.
you got to prove to the lender that's going to give you the loan for the
Right.
house that you make money, right?
Mhm.
So I bought a house, and so then when I went in the insurance route, I'm like, dude, I got a mortgage. I got to pay for this house, right? So I had bills now. That was my sole goal the first year. Is like I just want to make money so I can pay my bills.
Mhm.
And then I started to realize like how the agency side worked and how the business side of this worked. And I'm like, wait, hold up, this is kind of crazy.
Mhm.
And dude, I'll never forget this, man. My very first override check,
Mhm.
I was I went on vacation with my girlfriend at the time, wife now, her name's Carolina. But we were in Clearwater Beach, dude. And I woke up, I checked my phone. You guys always check the daily deposits, right? First thing you do in the morning.
Yeah.
First thing every morning, dude. You check
Yeah.
you check the deposits, like, oh man, right? I checked the phone, and dude, I got paid. I was like, I think it was like $250 or something. I was like, what app was that for? Like, I don't remember. And then I kind of got on the computer, I started looking at it. I was like, dude, that was my first override. I just made $250 and I didn't have to sell the policy. How many agents is it going to take me to make $250? Right? Like, how big can this really get?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
You
it
get the
really, it like
training.
really opened my eyes, dude, after that first override. And I was like, I want to build a business, bro. I want to build a business, and that's what I want to do. So I knew I had to inspire my guys. I had to inspire my agents, to get them to make money, dude. So, and then that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Is like you got to lead from the front, because it builds your credibility.
Mhm.
You know, when your people trust you and they want to know how you would handle a scenario, right? Hey, Isaiah, like this is what happened to me. How would you do it differently? You got to be able to handle those phone calls to build trust, right? So I knew that was important from the very beginning, dude. And that's when we started scaling, man. And dude, I mean, it got to the point where, you know, I went probably a little overboard with it. I mean, at the peak of our recruiting and um, marketing, dude, I was spending 30 grand a month on Indeed and ZipRecruiter, and I had two full-time recruiters that I was paying 60 grand a year plus bonus to sit and make calls. And they had booked schedules. It was nuts. I mean, we were slamming agents in, dude. So
30
yeah,
grand a month on ZipRecruiter and what else?
and Indeed and ZipRecruiter. Yeah,
That's man.
yeah, yeah. But dude, you know, you don't get there right away, right? I mean, I remember the first time I hired the first employee. It was I actually recruited her from the corporate job I had. I was at a corporate a trucking company,
Mhm.
and she was like, "Hey Isaiah, like, what are you doing now?" She was one of the top recruiters there, and I told her what I was doing. You know, we're doing this insurance thing, and at that time I was like, I wanted a recruiter, so I was like, you know, I asked her what she was getting paid, and she told me she was making 60 grand a year,
Mhm.
and I was like, I'll match it. She's like, you'll match it, and I was like, yeah, but you get to work from home too. And dude, I had no idea how I was going to be able to afford that.
It's crazy.
It freaked me out. But uh, you just go, man. You know, Sean says you run fast and break things, right? So yeah, dude, and that's when it just started kind of getting crazy, bro.
Mhm.
So
You hired her to do what exactly?
she's a recruiter.
Oh, okay,
She's
okay,
a
okay.
recruiter, yeah, yeah,
Okay, good
yeah.
deal. That's awesome, man. That's definitely outside of the box. I don't think we've even sort of leveraged anything like that, like full time. But no, that's huge, man. That's huge. Okay, so I think
I wouldn't recommend that right away though. So
no,
I don't
yeah,
want people to take that
absolutely.
away and say I need to go hire a recruiter because no one can tell your story better than you.
Yep, absolutely.
What I realized is this recruiter, even though she was a good recruiter, she couldn't recruit like me.
No,
Not that I'm a good recruiter, but I know my story,
no, yeah.
and it's the stories that sell, dude. They want to know who you are as a person and why I should work with you,
Hmm.
right? So yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing that right away.
Hmm. No doubt. So I think a big thing that you attribute a lot of your success to in terms of strategy, based off of what I'm picking up, is that majority of it was just from your agents. Not so much like intricate strategy, but like just people you have agents come in and just listen to you on the phones. You didn't really have like too much of like you don't overthink it much. You similar like ethos is like Harold, which is like keeping it simple. And you just had agents come in, listen to you on the phones, maybe you give them a script, get them on some leads, and that was pretty much it, yeah? Or was it like anything unique that anyone else was not doing at the time?
Dude, I didn't do anything unique. I
Okay.
didn't do anything unique. In fact, Harold and Samir are the ones who kind of like started opening up my mind, dude. I was
Yeah.
the old school guy.
Yeah.
Again, face to face. When I first recruited Harold, Harold was like, I'm going to do this from home. I'm like, no, you're not. He's like, yeah, I am. I'm like, dude, this doesn't work from home. You can't sell insurance from home, dude. It doesn't work that way. And look what you guys did now, man. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, dude, I didn't do anything out of the box. But at the same time, you know, I think it's important to be creative,
Mm-hmm.
right? But also at the same time, you don't want to get distracted either. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, I just ran the play.
Mm-hmm.
My mentors at the time was Andrew Taylor, Sean, and those guys. I just said, dude, all they did was book 30 appointments a week and go see those clients. That's literally it. That was the model. That's what I did, dude. And
Yeah.
I taught the agents to do that. And it just started scaling, bro. I mean, really nothing. I'm seriously, dude. I just ran the play, bro. Just like
Yeah.
Harold.
There you
Run the
go.
play.
Okay, beautiful. Now, I want to transition now. I think everyone has a better understanding of like what you've been able to accomplish in the insurance space, and I hope it gives everyone the kind of clarity that we were looking to seek. Now, transitioning like into the real estate side of things, like what prompted your decision to move into real estate? Like, how did you start leveraging your income, like leverage your insurance income to do so? How did you do
Yeah.
that? Like, what were the first initial
Oh,
steps?
yeah, yeah. So I've always wanted to be a real estate guy, always my whole life. I always thought it was cool, you know. you know, when you're young, you just always think like the landlord is rich, right? So I've always wanted to get into real estate. I just didn't really know how. And I remember when I was talking to the lender when I bought my first house, I was actually asking her about, hey, what does it look like buying a rental property? And a lot of these lenders, these people these banks that will lend you money, they say, oh, you need to come with a 20% down payment, 20% of the purchase price of the house, right? So I'm like doing some math in my head. I'm like, wait, okay, so this house is like $400,000, 20%, like, holy shit, you know, this is like 80 grand. Like that's a lot of money. I can't do that right now, right? And so again, I've always wanted to be in real estate. So thankfully for me, I've always been a guy that's like, I've always lived below my means, right? And I've always kind of preached that. A lot of you guys have heard me talk about that. So I've always just been kind of lucky, dude, to like always have. I had good parents that really instilled that mindset into me. So you see a lot of these people right now on social media that they're buying the cars, and you know they're getting recruits that way, just kind of like you were highlighting earlier. And the industry is kind of shifting now, which is good. But I never did that, dude. Never. I mean, a couple years ago, I could buy probably any car on the market that I want cash, no problem. And dude, I'm driving a 2018 Toyota Corolla, bro. Like, you know, because I just knew what I wanted to do. And so one thing that I will say too, though, man, I'm all over the place. I'm sorry, guys.
It's all
But
good.
one thing that I did in the beginning is with my insurance income, I've always invested it, always. Not necessarily just in like not in real estate. I couldn't afford it, but you know, obviously you put your money into the agency, right? I'm a believer in you need to invest in your business, but you also got to pay yourself first. I've always had that belief, right? So I had to make sure I'm good. Isaiah's good. Isaiah's bills are good. All right. Now the goal is to make sure Isaiah's good, but the business has got to do X so that I could keep fueling the business, right? So, what I've always done from the very beginning is I've always invested a little bit of money into the S&P 500. You guys know what that is? I mean, simple index fund,
Yeah.
right? Fidelity stock. I did that since 2019, dude. 2019. Every single month, I put a little bit of money in there. I had it on auto pay. Just go in there and go in there and go in there. And dude, I mean, in 2023, I mean, after doing that for a long period of time, and then as the business is growing, I'm putting more into there. You look into that account and you're like, I can buy some houses, dude. You know what I mean?
That's what,
So so again, I've always had my vision. I always wanted to be a real estate guy. So it's not like it just kind of like fell out of the sky on me, right? So um so that's that. So then I purchased my first rental property in 2023 is when
okay.
I did. So you know, I mean, I don't know if you really want this to be like a real estate call or whatever, but
Yeah, we do. We do. We'll buy your
okay,
course. Yeah, yeah.
okay. So you know, I was like looking at different options. You know, like Airbnb. Do I want to do an Airbnb? Do I want to do like just like a regular tenant, or what do I want to do? And what kind of made me nervous, I was leaning towards Airbnb, but what made me nervous is I was like doing a lot of research online, and I was seeing that you know cities were shutting Airbnb down. People's like a lot of Airbnb investors or businesses were changing overnight based on like city regulations and things like that. So that scared me, and I didn't want that to happen to me. And at that time, the economy is kind of weird. Like people, like you know, it's just really weird. So that's when I stumbled across Section 8,
Mhm.
and I was like, wait, hold up. Like the government pays rent for people? That's kind of interesting. So I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, and I actually flew around the country. I met a lot of Section 8 investors, and what I realized was a lot of these people are buying houses like kind of like in the ghetto,
Mhm.
right? And they're thinking, oh, the people, they're just low income. Um, by the way, Section 8 is like a government program for people that are low income, and they help subsidize the rent. So the government pays a majority of the rent, and they send the check on the first of every single month. So um, yeah, so I flew around the country, and I was like, man, a lot of these people are buying houses kind of like in the hood in the ghetto, because that's the mentality. What people think is like, oh, Section 8 people live in the ghetto. And I was like, I don't really want to have houses in the ghetto because, you know, it's just like it just made me feel weird, right? Like, you know, people don't like to live in the ghetto, even though they kind of have to live there. And also on top of that, you know, houses in the ghetto don't really appreciate. again, I don't know if we want to make this a real estate call,
No, it's
but
okay. It's okay.
okay, cool. So houses in the ghetto don't really appreciate. So what I was thinking was like, well, why don't I just buy like nice houses in nice communities and still do the same thing with Section 8? And as I was doing my research, I realized, holy, holy smokes, people actually, or the government actually pays more for these houses in nicer areas and better communities. But the thing is a lot of investors don't like to rent those kind of houses to people on Section 8 because a lot of investors just think people on Section 8 are drug addicts and gangsters and things like that, and they're going to ruin your house, which is not true. There are a lot of renters like that, Section 8 or not, but there's good renters that are on Section 8. So I took a big risk, dude. I bought a nice house. It was like $400,000, my first house, 25% down. So if you guys do the math, that's $100,000. It's expensive. About $100,000 or put $100,000 down, bought a house, and everyone thought I was crazy. Like, dude, you're gonna put that house on Section 8? It was in a gated community, gated neighborhood, HOA, like all that stuff. And so I found a really, really nice tenant. Her house flooded. She was in a flood. It's out here in Florida. Her house flooded, and she was living out of her car, her and her 4 kids, and she needed a place to stay. And I wanted to give her the opportunity. And dude, when we finally decided to give her the keys, it was the craziest feeling ever, dude. Like the kids were running around the rooms. They were like, "Mom, we have closets." And like they went into the garage, like, "Mom, we have a garage." And like, dude, they all came and gave me a hug, and I gave them a hug, and I was like, I'm hooked, dude. How many of these things can I buy? And that's when, like, I have an obsessive personality, dude. Like, I obsessed with insurance, dialed in. I literally eat, breathe, and sleep it. Now, like, I'm obsessed with this. Like, how many of these houses can I get? How many of these families can I help? And dude, that's what I do now. So I am a Section 8 real estate investor. And I buy nice houses in nice communities, and I help these families that just need a chance. You change the trajectory of their life when they move from the hood to a nice neighborhood. They're going to better schools. They live in a nice house. I'm hooked. I got hooked, dude. I got hooked. So, what can you do with insurance? This is going to sound crazy, guys, but insurance is my ATM machine. But that's what you can do. It just takes a handful of years of focus. ATM or insurance is my ATM machine. When I want another house, I go to the insurance bank account, I pull some money out, I buy a house. That's what I do, dude. So,
Jesus. How many houses do you have now? You got your first one in 2023. How many do you have now, if you don't mind me asking? How much is in the portfolio?
so we've actually built a business out of this too. So now not only do we just do this ourselves for ourselves, but we actually help manage a lot of other investors that want to do the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So my wife and I, we have 18 ourselves. We just closed on number 18.
Beautiful.
But out of like, I mean, we've got partnerships, so we kind of go like 50-50 with other people. And then I even just like manage properties for just other people. They buy it themselves and we manage it for them. But total, the whole portfolio, we're over 100 right now.
Wow. Okay. So you guys are doing JVs with like people, and then you also have like property management, like
Yeah.
ancillary. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
we've got a property management leg. Yeah, I mean, we've got
Beautiful.
like a handyman business. I mean, yeah,
Beautiful.
lawn
Beautiful.
care. It's crazy. Yeah.
Man, I tried doing the Airbnb thing. That thing blew up in my face. It's a whole different conversation. But yeah, no, it seems to be promising, man. Definitely been following you and your success online. So this is great stuff. I hope this gives everyone like a little bit of insight as like what can truly be, possible here. Obviously, did not happen overnight. Right? You were in the insurance space for 2023, 2019. You got in 2023. So it's 4 years before you decided to even make that move. Now, for insurance brokers listening in, what are some steps that they can take to improve their financial literacy and diversify into other investments like you did? Like break it down to like an agent coming in, like how, let me ask this in a different way. How much would you say that like a producer, not like a builder, right? How much would you say someone needs to put aside to be able to afford to get like their first home and follow a similar model that what you did? Like just, I think maybe
Yeah.
would you say that what you did was kind of extreme, or do you think you could have done it with like less resources?
Um, I mean, you don't have to buy $400,000 houses, right? So, like I told you earlier, a lot of these banks and these lenders, they want you to put a 20% down payment on rental investment properties, right? So you do the math, right? If you're looking at a house that's $100,000, you need 20 grand. The beauty about this business is you could work everything backwards, dude. You could work everything. You know, you guys should be setting goals, right? Your calendars. When I was actively selling in the field, on the last day of the previous month, I had my calendar, my whiteboard I had in my room, hung this on my wall. Okay, and I would work it backwards. If I had a goal to sell $30,000 that month, it's not just a goal. Hey, I want to do 30,000 and then just hope it just falls on my lap, right? It doesn't work that way. How am I going to do that? So I worked everything backwards, and I had smaller targets to hit the big target. So what I would do is I would plan out my entire month in advance, literally my whole schedule. So even if you ask me today, if you say, hey, Isaiah, what are you doing on January 13th? I'll tell you what I'm doing on January 13th because I plan a month in advance. I've just done that for years. But I would plan it backwards. So I would say, okay, on this weekend, I have a birthday party. On this weekend, I'm just want to relax. I have a date night on this weekend, and then I have this, and then okay. So out of the 30 days out of the month, it looks like I'm going to be working 19 days, right? So if I want to sell $30,000 that month, how many apps do I need to submit based on I hope you guys are all tracking your metrics too. What's your average AP per sale? How many apps do I need to hit my goal, right? So, dang, dude, I forgot where I was going with this.
No, you're good. You're explaining, you're breaking down how someone can afford to be able to be
Exactly. Okay, exactly. So you can work it backwards. That's the beauty. So if you're like, okay, I want to buy a house that's $100,000. How many apps do you need to write, not to make 20 grand, but to save 20 grand? You should be able to have those numbers, right? How many apps do I need to write to save 20 grand and make that a target, right? So real estate for me, guys, it was a vehicle for me that the income, I'll be honest with you guys right now. The income is not insurance income right now. It's not. Insurance income is here. Real estate income's here. Okay. But one thing that I know is real estate income is forever income. It's generational income, right? So it's an investment for me. So I know because if I have tenants or I have tenants with Section 8 and these houses are 400,000, I can buy a $400,000 house for $100,000, and the government is eventually going to pay off the remaining $300,000, and then I'll own that house free and clear. And when I'm old and retired, I'm going to have a ton of cash flow. Is the goal. So for an individual producer, again, it's just what do you want to buy? You can work it backwards. That's the beauty about being an insurance agent is you can literally control your income. So what kind of house do you want to buy? Work it backwards. That's what I've always done. So
okay.
Yeah, man.
Last question I have for you is what piece of practical advice would you give to our audience about staying resilient, adaptable in a changing market, whether it's insurance, whether it's real estate, or what do you think about the insurance industry as a whole? Where do you think it's headed?
That's a good question. I think AI is going to improve in the insurance agent experience. I don't think it's going to get rid of insurance agents. I don't. But I think it's going to give you the resources like you guys are obviously utilizing to improve the experience. So I think if you stay ahead of that and man, I think if you just take care of people, your clients trust you and they know that you're their guy, I think it's a beauty. I also think it's important to be if you could be the one-stop shop for all their insurance needs. I think that's a huge thing too. And I know that there's a lot of work, involved with that, but yeah, man. Yeah. I think you're kind of asking me, do I think AI is going to replace the insurance agent? I don't think so. Yeah. One piece of advice though, here's what I would say. I've been dealing, so I told you I do a lot of third-party management too, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is it's really cool because I'm meeting a lot of really interesting people. It's not your everyday person that owns rental properties. Because I told you it costs $80,000 or whatever to buy a house, right? meeting a lot of successful people. And one thing I'll say is, you know, because again, I'm good at telling stories. I'm good at telling my personal story. So when I talk to these investors, a lot of them are super impressed with me. And I'm just speaking really humbly, okay? I just want you guys to understand what you have your hands on right now. Because I didn't do anything special. I just really, really committed to the insurance vehicle. Okay, so I meet a lot of these guys, and a lot of these people are older men and women. They've been in business for a long, long, long time. So I ask these people a lot, like, dang, you own like 14 houses? Like, what do you do for a living? Oh, you know, I have this lawn care business in New York. It's 4 generations. My great great grandpa started it, and they passed it down, and now I run it, right? I run this business. I run that business. Oh, I'm an executive employee at one of our clients it's an executive employee at Cisco. It's like, oh, I've been at Cisco for 25 years. You're just like, dang, you know, like that's a long time. You know, we're talking generations of businesses, right? So people are being able to acquire properties. And again, humbly speaking, Carolina and I were able to do more than a lot of these people in
Shorter
6 years, dude.
Yeah.
And it's because of the life insurance sales income. Because if you manage the money the right way and you make the right decisions, this can be very, very powerful. I think a lot of agents get discouraged way too fast because it's not working right away. Give this time. It's okay. You know, I think you see a lot of the things on social media too. Like, you know, these people are building agencies overnight. I don't think that's necessarily a great thing, because just as fast as it goes down or goes up, it could go down.
Yeah, that's what's
right?
happening. Yeah.
You see that happen all the time.
I'm sure you've seen some crazy situations in your time.
100%.
I'm sure you've seen some crazy situations.
100%. 100%. So the other thing I want to say too is, I think those people that build the agencies way too fast, you don't develop and grow into the person that needs to be the person that runs that agency, if that makes sense. Because as you go through time, you are learning different skill sets, right? You're dealing with different scenarios, and you're becoming the man or the woman that you need to be able to run a big agency, right? Because we're all kind of little CEOs of our own company. You've got to grow into the CEO. So if it takes a little time, it takes a little seasoning, it's all right. So I always tell people, like, dude, just build. It's okay to build slow, but build with the right people. Build slow with the right people. And that's how you make sure this thing sustains. It's sustainable, right? And then what you do with this income is you live a little bit below your means. You invest the money. Okay, again, I put it in the S&P 500. You invest the money, so the money's working for you. When you're out slanging in the field and you're working, your money's working too. Make sure you're putting it in a vehicle that's working for you. And when this little account here gets to the point where you're ready to make, you know, other investments, or you want to take advantage of another opportunity, you're there.
No doubt. No doubt. That's the truth, man. I don't want to take the stage away from everyone else too, because we do want to open it up for questions, if that's okay with you.
Of course.
If you've got some time permits. I think there is some sort of feedback that we're getting in the chat a little bit. It's like people wanting to build now all of a sudden. But you know, then we talked about like the upside, downside of being a producer, things like that. And I think the big misconceptions folks think is that, like, once you know, build an agency per se, they overlook the build part, and they just look to like that situation where you explained that you were on a beach in Fort Lauderdale and you received the deposit. They didn't realize like how much work it took for you to be able to help an agent, put them in a position where they could be able to put money in their pocket first, and for the carrier to be able to pay you what we call a training bonus. So can you talk a little bit about like what it really takes, like to build, to be able to be in a position where you can, you know, create that kind of income for yourself, like the downside of it too, like what it actually—
downside of the agency building.
Yes.
Dude, building an agency will grow you up quick, man. I mean, all the managers here will tell you. How many hats do you have to wear as, I don't know, Samir or Harold or someone can unmute, or, you know, Brian or whatever, Anthony. How many hats do you have to wear to be an agency builder? I mean, dude, you are the freaking therapist. You're the, I mean, you got to be the leader.
That's the most important one.
dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. So what I tell the managers a lot is you have to protect your mental sanity. You have to, because 99% of phone calls, these guys will tell you, 99% of phone calls you get are going to be bad phone calls. No one is ever calling you and being like, yo, Isaiah, this happened today. It was so amazing. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Those calls do not happen. Maybe 1% of the time they do, right? But the other 99% of the time, these are bad phone calls. So, man, you take the phone call and you got to be their therapist. You got to help them through it. And then, then the next call comes and it can beat you up, dude. It can beat you up. I can't tell you how many times I've told Carolina, like it's 11 at night, and I just took another phone call. I had to talk an agent off the cliff, or to not jump off the cliff.
Oh, whoa. What you mean by that?
I'm like, babe, I can't do this anymore. I literally cannot do this anymore. And so and then you wake up, and then I don't know how many times I've quit, dude. And then you just wake up and you just go back to work again, right? But I think it's important, dude, to reward yourself along the way, because I think I'm sure a lot of people can relate, like managers or producers. Sometimes, even though like we're not like in the W-2 world, this could sometimes feel like a rat race. It can feel like it. If you don't have a target or a vision or something that you want, that you're looking to accomplish, sometimes it's just like, dude, over and over in the same script and over and over. And then, the agency's part, the same agents are calling and complaining It's hard. It's hard. So I think what's important is you need what I did, I feel like that helped Carolina and I, is we set like little goals. We set like little, almost like little celebrations, right? Like something stupid we would do is like, okay, so for example, when we were selling, like when the agency was doing like probably like 700 or 800 grand a month, and I'm still selling, obviously agency income's really good. But Carolina was like, hey, why don't we like do this thing where of your personal sales commissions, like 10% of that could be our fund money. Like we could just go do whatever we want for fun. And that was like motivating for me, because I'm like, oh, cool. Like if I go produce and sell a lot, whatever that 10% of the income is, the more I sell, the more that is. And then like the more things we could, like restaurants, and like we would go eat, and maybe we do like a little vacation. So I think it's important to like set things on your calendar. Like, hey, on this day, we're going to go do this, but in order for us to do this, I have to accomplish this. It kind of helps like with the monotony, right? Of the kind of that rat race kind of feel. Set little fun things. It's important to enjoy the journey is what I'm saying. Right. So,
without going too crazy.
Exactly. Without going too crazy, but that helped us, dude. It did. So, yeah, man. Yeah.
Beautiful stuff, man. I really appreciate you, man. I think everyone else does as well. I do want to open it up for questions, but again, thank you so much for joining us, Isaiah, man. You've been a true inspiration to a lot of people. You created a lot of noise. You're what we call an aged vet in the insurance space. So God bless you, man.
Dude, I'm only 32. You guys making me feel like I'm old, man. Calling me vet, and I'm playing, bro. I'm playing.
As old as AGD and
It ages you quick, dude.
That's the truth. Appreciate you, man.